Hey, welcome. Today we're jumping into a really cool clinical trial that found this surprising link between, of all things, our bone strength and how our bodies handle blood sugar. Seriously, it's a connection that could totally reshape how we think about metabolic health. So let's get right into it. So let's just start with the big question right off the bat. What in the world do your bones have to do with type 2 diabetes? I mean, you're probably thinking those are two completely separate systems in the body, right? Well, as we're about to find out, they are way more connected than you might expect. You see, for a while now, we've known that having chronically high blood sugar, which is what happens in type 2 diabetes, can weaken your bones. But we always thought of it as a one-way street. Diabetes hurts bones. End of story. But this new research, it flips that whole idea on its head and suggests our bones might actually be talking back to our metabolism. So, how exactly do our bones talk? Well, they use this special messenger protein called osteocalcin. It's made inside our bones, but it doesn't just stay there. It travels through our bloodstream and acts kind of like a hormone. And it plays a huge role in how our body uses insulin and controls blood sugar. This protein, this is the key link at the very center of our story.
Okay, so to really get the story, we need to meet the key players. We've just been introduced to our protein, osteocalcin. Now let's bring in its two very important partners, a couple of vitamins you have definitely heard of, but maybe not quite like this.
So on one side, you've got vitamin D3, often called the sunshine vitamin. Its main job is to help our gut absorb calcium from our food. Simple enough. But absorbing it is only half the battle. On the other side is vitamin K2, which I like to think of as the director vitamin. It activates proteins that tell all that calcium where to go, specifically into our bones and teeth where we want it.
Now, this brings us right back to our hero protein, osteocalcin, because it actually has two different forms. First, there's the metabolic messenger form. This one is free to roam around the body and influence blood sugar. Then you've got the bone builder form, which stays put right in the bone to help make it strong. And the switch that flips the messenger into a builder, you guessed it, that's vitamin K2.
Okay, so with these key players in mind, some researchers in Mexico decided to set up an investigation. They designed a 3-month experiment to see what would happen if they gave these vitamins to people who already had type 2 diabetes. The big question was, would it change their osteocalcin levels, and more importantly, could it actually affect their blood sugar?
So the team got 40 patients, all of whom had been diagnosed with type 2 diabetes, to participate in what's called a double-blind, randomized clinical trial. This is basically the gold standard for this kind of research, because it means neither the patients nor the scientists knew who was getting which supplement until the whole thing was over.
These 40 patients were then split up into 3 different groups for the 3 months. One group just got vitamin D3, the second group got only vitamin K2, and that third group got a combination of both D3 and K2.
All right, fast forward 3 months. What did the data actually show? This, my friends, is where the story gets really interesting. Okay, so first things first. The big question on everyone's mind, did it actually work? Did any of these vitamins help lower the patient's blood sugar levels? And the answer was a huge yes. All 3 groups, the D3 group, the K2 group, and the combo group, all of them saw a really meaningful drop in their fasting blood glucose. So as far as the main goal of lowering blood sugar went, all 3 strategies were a success.
But hang on, if all 3 worked, does that mean they were all working the same way? To figure that out, the researchers had to look under the hood at how each vitamin was affecting those 2 different forms of osteocalcin we talked about.
So get this. The group that was only taking vitamin D3, they actually saw a significant decrease in that metabolic messenger form. The researchers think this is because D3 helps slow down how quickly old bone gets broken down, which means less of this active messenger form was getting released into the blood.
Now compare that to the vitamin K2 group. They saw the opposite. They had a big increase in the bone builder form. And this makes total sense, right? Because remember, vitamin K2's job is to activate osteocalcin, turning it into the form that gets locked into our bones to make them stronger.
And then there was this other really fascinating finding that was specific just to the K2 group. They were the only ones who showed a clear improvement in insulin resistance. So this suggests that even though both vitamins help lower blood sugar, K2 might have a more direct impact on how well the body actually listens to insulin. So, where does all this leave us? Let's take a step back and look at what this research is really telling us when we put all these pieces of the puzzle together. So what are the big takeaways here? Well, both vitamin D3 and K2 helped improve blood sugar. That's clear.
But, and this is the important part, they seem to do it through totally different but complementary pathways. D3 lowered the amount of that metabolic messenger floating around, while K2 cranked up the bone builder form and helped with insulin sensitivity. It shows they're not interchangeable. They each have their own unique job to do.
And that brings us to this really powerful conclusion right from the study's authors. They basically say that using these vitamins, either alone or together, could be a fantastic strategy for hitting two birds with one stone, improving both blood sugar control and bone health at the same time.
And that leaves us with one final big thought. This kind of research forces us to look beyond just thinking of these as bone vitamins. It asks us to see our entire skeleton as an active, crucial player in our metabolic health. So, could the very same nutrients we've always counted on for strong bones also hold a key to a healthier metabolism? Now, that is a fascinating question that science is really just beginning to answer.